We fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marine.
The formation of the United States Marine Corps began on November 10, 1775. On this date, the Second Continental Congress met at Tun Tavern in Philadelphia and passed a resolution stating that 2 battalions of Marines be raised. These Marines were created to serve as landing forces with the fleet. This resolution established the Continental Marines and officially marked the birth date of the United States Marine Corps. Captain Samuel Nicholas was selected to command these 2 battalions of Marines because of his leadership in organizing and commanding the 1st Marines. He is traditionally considered the first commandant of the Marine Corps. The Battle of Nassau was a naval operation that took place in March 1776. During this operation, the Continental Marines successfully conducted their first amphibious landing on a hostile shore. At the time, the British were storing large amounts of gunpowder and munitions at Fort Nassau in the Bahamas. These supplies were intended to be used against the 13 American colonies. To capture these supplies, Captain Samuel Nicholas led 234 Marines who sailed with the Continental Navy on a mission to seize the weapons and ammunition. When the Marines arrived and landed on the island, the British troops quickly surrendered. As a result of the operation, the Marines captured gunpowder, cannons, and other military supplies, which were extremely valuable to the American forces during the Revolutionary War. In the early 1800s, American merchant ships traveling through the Mediterranean Sea faced a serious threat from pirates operating along the Barbary coast of North Africa. These pirates frequently attacked American vessels, captured crews, and demanded ransom. To stop these attacks and protect American trade, the United States sent naval forces to the region. During this conflict, the USS Philadelphia ran aground and its entire crew was captured by enemy forces. In April 1805, a small but determined force set out to confront the enemy. This force was led by Lieutenant Presley O'Bannon and Midshipman George Mann, along with United States Marines and Allied foreign fighters. Together, they began an extremely difficult 600-mile march across the Libyan desert toward the enemy stronghold at the city of Derna. After enduring the harsh desert conditions, the force finally reached the city. When the attack began, the Marines stormed the Tripolitan city of Derna and defeated the enemy forces. The operation was supported by naval gunfire from the brig Argus, the sloop Hornet, and the schooner Nautilus. During this time, Marines wore high leather collars on their uniforms to protect their necks from saber strikes during combat. Because of these collars, Marines began to be known by the nickname Leathernecks. The Battle of Derna is remembered as the first time the United States flag was raised on foreign soil. This historic moment is forever captured in the Marine Corps hymn in the line, "To the shores of Tripoli, Suaidu Wanai." One of the most influential leaders in Marine Corps history was Brevet Brigadier General Archibald Henderson. General Henderson became the commandant of the Marine Corps in 1820, and he held that position for an incredible 39 years, serving until his death in 1859. Because of his long and dedicated service, he is often referred to as the Grand Old Man of the Marine Corps. During his time as commandant, Henderson led the Marine Corps through several important conflicts and operations. These included the Indian Wars, the Mexican War, the opening of China to international trade, and periods of unrest in Central America. General Henderson worked tirelessly to improve the Marine Corps. He introduced higher standards of personal appearance, discipline, and training, helping to transform the Marines into a more professional and capable fighting force. Under his leadership, the Marine Corps developed a reputation for being more than just guards aboard ships. Instead, the Corps became recognized as a professional military force capable of operating in combat operations around the world. During the Mexican-American War, which lasted from 1846 to 1848, United States Marines played an important role in several major operations. Marines participated in the seizure of enemy seaports along both the Gulf Coast and the Pacific coast of Mexico. In 1847, a battalion of Marines joined United States Army forces at Pueblo, and together they advanced toward Mexico City. Their objective was a heavily fortified castle known as Chapultepec Castle, which stood on a hill overlooking the city. The castle served as a major defensive position protecting the capital. To capture it, Marines and soldiers launched a determined assault. Using ladders to scale the walls, they stormed the castle while under heavy enemy fire. After 2 days of intense fighting, the American forces successfully captured the fortress. With the fall of Chapultepec Castle, Marines gained control of the structure known as the Halls of Montezuma. This historic battle is remembered in the Marine Corps hymn in the famous line, "From the Halls of Montezuma." Sergeant Major John Quick is remembered for his extraordinary bravery during the Spanish-American War in 1898. He was serving with Marines during an operation at Cusco Well in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. The mission was to seize an advanced base for the Atlantic Fleet Battalion of Marines. During the battle, Marine forces came under intense enemy fire. Despite the danger, Sergeant Major Quick stood exposed and used semaphore signals to communicate with naval forces offshore. While under both Spanish and American shell fire, he continued signaling to request an emergency naval bombardment to support the Marines on the ground. His calm actions and courage under fire helped direct the naval gunfire that supported the Marines during the engagement. For his exceptional bravery and leadership, Sergeant Major John Quick was awarded the Medal of Honor. In April 1917, the United States entered World War I after Germany began unrestricted submarine warfare against ships traveling across the Atlantic. Soon after entering the war, the United States began sending troops to Europe. By June 1917, the 5th Marine Regiment arrived in France as part of the American Expeditionary Force. Later, in February 1918, the arrival of the 6th Marine Regiment and the 6th Machine Gun Battalion brought the 4th Marine Brigade up to full strength. One of the most famous battles involving Marines during World War I was the Battle of Belleau Wood, which took place from June 6 to June 26, 1918. The battle involved intense machine gun fire, hand-to-hand combat, bayonet fighting, and mustard gas attacks. The fighting was extremely brutal, but the Marines refused to give ground. In honor of the Marines who fought there, the French renamed the area the Wood of the Brigade of Marines. German intelligence described the Marines as storm troops, which was the highest rating on the enemy fighting scale. Because of their fierce fighting ability, German soldiers began referring to the Marines as Teufelhunden, meaning devil dogs. One of the most famous Marines from this battle was Sergeant Major Dan Daly. During the intense fighting, the Marines were outnumbered, outgunned, and pinned down. At a critical moment, Gunnery Sergeant Dan Daly rallied his Marines with the famous words, "Come on, you sons of bitches! Do you want to live forever?" Another historic moment during World War I was the enlistment of Private Opha May Johnson. On August 13, 1918, she became the first enlisted woman in the Marine Corps. Women who joined during this time were officially known as Marine Reserve F, but were commonly referred to as Marinettes or Skirt Marines. During World War II, the United States Marine Corps played a major role in the fight against Japanese forces across the Pacific. The war began for the United States on December 7, 1941, when Japan launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. One of the first targets of the attack was the Marine Corps Air Station at Iwa on Oahu. More than 800 Marines were stationed aboard ships at Pearl Harbor, and many joined sailors in manning anti-aircraft guns to defend against the Japanese assault. During the attack, 112 Marines were killed or missing in action, including 67 of the 82 Marines stationed aboard the USS Arizona. During World War II, the Marine Corps expanded rapidly to support the war effort. On July 30, 1942, the Marine Corps Women's Reserve was officially established as part of the Marine Corps Reserve. The purpose of the Women's Reserve was to provide qualified women for duty at shore establishments of the Marine Corps. By filling these important support roles, women allowed more male Marines to be assigned to combat duty overseas. Women in the Marine Corps performed a wide range of duties, including administration, communications, and logistical support, all of which were critical to the success of Marine Corps operations during the war. During World War II, an important milestone occurred in the history of the Marine Corps. Following Executive Order 802, issued by President Franklin D. Roosevelt in June 1941, African Americans were allowed to enlist in the United States Marine Corps for the first time. These recruits became known as the Montford Point Marines. They trained at Camp Montford Point in Jacksonville, North Carolina, beginning on August 26, 1942. By the end of the war, approximately 20,000 African American Marines had trained at Montford Point. Training at Montford Point continued until September 9, 1949, when the camp was decommissioned. This change followed Executive Order 9981, issued by President Harry S. Truman, which officially desegregated the United States Armed Forces. The largest number of black Marines to see combat during World War II participated in the seizure of Okinawa, where approximately 2,000 Montford Point Marines took part in the operation. During World War II, the Marine Corps played a critical role in the Pacific theater through large-scale amphibious operations. Between August 7 and August 9, 1942, the 1st Marine Division landed on the beaches of Guadalcanal and Tulagi in the Solomon Islands. These landings marked the first Allied land offensive in the Pacific during World War II. The operation also demonstrated the Marine Corps' amphibious warfare doctrine, which had been developed in the years leading up to the war. Throughout the Pacific Campaign, the Marine Corps expanded to 6 Marine divisions, all of which served in combat across the region. During the war, Marines conducted amphibious landings on several strategically important islands, including Bougainville, Tarawa, New Britain, Kwajalein, Eniwetok, Saipan, Guam, Tinian, Peleliu, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa. These operations helped the Allied forces gradually move closer to Japan while weakening enemy defenses across the Pacific. In September 1942, the Marine Corps established the Navajo Code Talker program. This program used the Navajo language as a secure way to transmit military messages during combat operations in the Pacific theater of World War II. Navajo Marines developed a special code based on their language, allowing them to send and receive classified messages quickly and securely. This system proved far more efficient than traditional encryption methods, which required time to encode, transmit, and decode messages. Even though enemy forces often intercepted these transmissions, there is no record that the code was ever broken or deciphered. The Navajo Code Talkers played a crucial role in maintaining secure communications for Marine Corps operations, and commanders at all levels praised their performance throughout the war. One of the most intense and famous battles in Marine Corps history was the battle for Iwo Jima during World War II. Initial carrier raids against Iwo Jima began in June 1944 as part of the effort to weaken Japanese defenses before the invasion. Before the Marines landed, the island endured the longest and most intense bombardment of any Pacific island during the war, including 3 days of naval gunfire and continuous air attacks. More than 450 ships gathered offshore as the final bombardment prepared the island for the assault. On February 19, 1945, the 4th and 5th Marine Divisions landed on Iwo Jima. At first, the landing appeared to meet little resistance. However, once the protective naval gunfire lifted, Japanese forces emerged from heavily fortified underground positions and began firing on the advancing Marines. The 28th Marines of the 5th Marine Division were given the mission of isolating Mount Suribachi, the dominant volcanic mountain on the island. They successfully completed this mission on the first day of the battle. On February 23, 1945, Marines reached the summit of Mount Suribachi and raised the United States flag, a moment that became one of the most iconic images in American military history. The 3rd Marine Division joined the battle on the 5th day, reinforcing the fight across the island. The Japanese defenses were extremely determined, forcing the Marines to fight for every inch of ground. After 36 days of brutal combat, the island was finally declared secure on March 26, 1945. The battle resulted in approximately 6,800 Marines and sailors killed in action. A total of 27 Medals of Honor were awarded, many of them posthumously, the highest number awarded during any single operation of the war. The famous photograph of the flag raising on Mount Suribachi was taken by Associated Press photographer Joe Rosenthal. One of the Marines in the photograph was Corporal Ira Hayes, a member of the Pima Indian tribe. Reflecting on the courage shown during the battle, Admiral Chester W. Nimitz stated, "Among the Americans who served on Iwo Island, uncommon valor was a common virtue. Major Gregory R. Pappy Boyington is remembered as one of the most famous Marine aviators of World War II. He commanded Marine Fighting Squadron 214, better known as the Black Sheep Squadron. During intense aerial combat in the Pacific, Boyington demonstrated exceptional skill and leadership in dogfights against Japanese aircraft. By the end of the war, he became the top Marine Corps flying ace, credited with 28 aerial victories, also known as kills. For his heroic actions against enemy forces in the Central Solomon Islands from September 12, 1943 to January 3, 1944, Major Boyington was awarded the Medal of Honor on October 5, 1945. The Battle of Okinawa was the last and largest battle of the Pacific Theater during World War II. The battle began on April 1, 1945 and continued until June 22, 1945, lasting a total of 82 days. During this operation, approximately 287,000 Allied troops participated in the fight for control of the island. Okinawa was strategically important because it provided vital air bases that would support the planned invasion of mainland Japan. The battle was extremely intense and costly. By the end of the campaign, Japanese forces suffered more than 77,000 casualties. The Allied forces suffered about 65,000 casualties, including 14,000 killed in action. For acts of extraordinary heroism during the battle, 23 Medals of Honor were awarded. During the Battle of Okinawa in World War II, a Navy Corpsman performed an act of extraordinary bravery. On May 2, 1945, Hospital Apprentice First Class Robert E. Bush was providing medical care to wounded Marines in the middle of intense combat. Despite the dangerous conditions, he administered blood plasma to a wounded Marine officer with one hand while returning enemy fire with the other. His courage and determination under fire helped save the life of the wounded officer. For his conspicuous gallantry and heroic actions, Robert E. Bush was awarded the Medal of Honor. He received the award from President Harry S. Truman on October 5, 1945. The ceremony took place during Nimitz Day celebrations at the White House in Washington, D.C. At the time, he became the youngest Navy serviceman of World War II to receive the Medal of Honor. During the Korean War, United States Marines played a major role in defending South Korea against invading communist forces. On September 15, 1950, the 1st Marine Division conducted a daring amphibious landing at Incheon. This landing was a turning point in the war and helped push back the North Korean army, which had invaded South Korea earlier that year. Following the success of the landing, Marine forces advanced toward the capital city. On September 29, 1950, the city of Seoul, the capital of the Republic of Korea, was successfully liberated from North Korean control. By November 1950, during the Korean War, Marines had advanced deep into North Korea. At a place called the Chosan Reservoir, the 1st Marine Division suddenly found itself surrounded and heavily outnumbered by Chinese forces, facing odds of nearly 8-1. The Marines also had to endure some of the harshest weather conditions ever faced in combat. Temperatures dropped to nearly minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit, with extreme wind and heavy snow. These brutal conditions limited air support and made movement and survival extremely difficult. Despite these overwhelming challenges, the Marines fought with extraordinary determination. The Marines who fought there became known as the Chosen Few. Even while surrounded and outnumbered, they managed to inflict heavy losses on Chinese forces, destroying 7 of the 10 Chinese infantry divisions engaged in the battle. The Marines then fought their way back to the coast, successfully breaking through enemy lines and rejoining American forces. The Battle of the Chosin Reservoir is remembered as one of the most remarkable fighting withdrawals in military history, demonstrating the resilience and fighting spirit of the United States Marine Corps. One of the most legendary Marines in history is Lieutenant General Lewis B. Chesty Puller. He served in the Marine Corps for 37 years, from 1918 to 1955. Throughout his career, Puller fought in numerous conflicts, including Korea, 4 campaigns during World War II, and expeditionary operations in China, Nicaragua, and Haiti. Lieutenant General Puller is one of the most decorated Marines in history. He is the only Marine to receive the Navy Cross 5 times, awarded for extraordinary heroism in combat. In total, he received 14 personal combat decorations, along with numerous campaign medals, unit citations, and other military honors. During the Korean War, Puller commanded the 1st Marine Regiment during the difficult fighting at the Chosan Reservoir, where he was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross and his 5th Navy Cross for his heroic leadership. Earlier in his career, while serving in Nicaragua in 1930, Puller led a small force of about 32 Marines through jungle operations against rebel forces and bandits. His ability to successfully fight in these difficult conditions earned him the nickname Tiger of the Mountains. In honor of his legacy, the Marine Corps' official mascot, an English bulldog named Chesty, is named after this courageous Marine leader. During the Vietnam War, United States Marines played a major role in supporting South Vietnam in its fight against communist forces. From 1965 to 1975, nearly 500,000 Marines served in Southeast Asia, operating on the ground, in the air, and at sea. Marines conducted combat operations across Vietnam while also providing aviation support and naval operations in the region. The conflict was extremely costly. The Marine Corps suffered almost 13,000 Marines killed in action and more than 52,000 wounded. These losses represented nearly 1/3 of all American casualties during the Vietnam War. Despite these heavy sacrifices, Marines continued to carry out their mission in support of South Vietnam's defense and the broader objectives of the United States during the conflict. During the Vietnam War, a Navy Corpsman demonstrated extraordinary courage while serving alongside Marines in combat. On March 28, 1966, Petty Officer Robert R. Ingram was accompanying the Point Platoon during an operation against a North Vietnamese Army battalion in the Republic of Vietnam. As the patrol moved forward, the Marines were suddenly ambushed by approximately 100 enemy soldiers who opened fire with automatic weapons from a nearby tree line. Without hesitation, Petty Officer Ingram crawled across the battlefield under intense enemy fire to reach a wounded Marine. While providing medical aid, a bullet passed through the palm of his hand, seriously wounding him. Despite this injury, he continued moving across the battlefield to treat other wounded Marines. He was shot 2 more times, including one wound that was life-threatening. Even with these injuries, Petty Officer Ingram refused to stop. For hours from 1600 until nearly sunset, he continued to resupply Marines, treat the wounded, and encourage those fighting around him. His courage and determination saved the lives of many Marines during the battle. For his heroic actions and devotion to duty, Petty Officer Robert R. Ingram was awarded the Medal of Honor. During the Vietnam War, Lieutenant Vincent R. Capodanno, a Navy chaplain, displayed extraordinary courage while serving with Marines. On September 4, 1967, while serving with the 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines in Quang Tri Province, a Marine platoon came under a massive enemy assault and was in danger of being overrun. Without hesitation, Lieutenant Capodanno left the relative safety of the command post and ran across an open area that was being raked with enemy fire to reach the Marines in need. Ignoring intense small arms fire, automatic weapons fire, and mortar explosions, he moved across the battlefield, administering last rites to the dying and providing aid to the wounded. During the battle, an exploding mortar round severely wounded his arms and legs and partially severed his right hand. Even with these injuries, he refused medical treatment and instructed the corpsmen to continue helping the wounded Marines. Despite his severe wounds, Lieutenant Capodanno continued moving through the battlefield, encouraging Marines. Seeing a wounded corpsman lying in the line of fire, he rushed forward. As he reached him, he was struck and killed by enemy machine gun fire. For his extraordinary bravery and selfless sacrifice, Lieutenant Vincent R. Capodanno was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor. Brigadier General Margaret A. Brewer made history in the United States Marine Corps. Before becoming a general officer, she served as the Director of Women Marines from 1973 to 1977. During this time, she was responsible for overseeing programs and policies related to women serving in the Marine Corps. Margaret Brewer was the 7th and final Director of Women Marines, becoming the last person to hold that position after World War II. On May 11, 1978, she achieved another historic milestone when she became the first woman to be promoted to the rank of General Officer in the United States Marine Corps. In 1982, United States Marines deployed to Lebanon as part of a multinational peacekeeping force during the Lebanese Civil War. Their mission was to help stabilize the region and support efforts to restore peace. However, the Marines soon faced an enemy that relied on terrorist tactics rather than traditional battlefield combat. On the morning of October 23, 1983, a suicide bomber driving a truck filled with explosives attacked the Marine barracks housing Battalion Landing Team 18 in Beirut. The truck crashed through the security perimeter and detonated inside the building. The massive explosion destroyed the barracks. The massive explosion killed 241 American service members, including Marines, sailors, and soldiers. This tragic event became the deadliest single day for the Marine Corps since the Battle of Iwo Jima in 1945. In August 1990, the Iraqi army invaded Kuwait, creating a major international crisis. In response, the United States led a large coalition of forces to drive Iraqi troops out of Kuwait. As part of this response, the United States deployed a massive joint military force, including the largest movement of Marine Corps forces since World War II. The United States Navy established sea control and maritime superiority, allowing coalition air and ground forces to move into the region safely. Between August 1990 and January 1991, a total of 240 ships transported more than 18.3 million pounds of equipment and supplies to the region. During this buildup, 24 infantry battalions, 40 aviation squadrons, and more than 92,000 Marines deployed to support the mission. The ground offensive began on February 24, 1991, when the 1st and 2nd Marine Divisions breached Iraqi defensive lines and advanced into occupied Kuwait. Within 100 hours, coalition forces had defeated Iraqi forces in the Kuwaiti theater of operations. By the end of the operation, nearly the entire Iraqi army in the area had been encircled, with approximately 4,000 Iraqi tanks destroyed and 42 divisions rendered ineffective. Following the terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001, against the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, the Navy Marine Corps team prepared to defend the United States. As part of the response, U.S. forces launched Operation Enduring Freedom, a military campaign aimed at dismantling terrorist networks and removing the Taliban regime in Afghanistan. On November 25, 2001, Marines and sailors from the 15th Marine Expeditionary Unit and the 26th Marine Expeditionary Unit conducted a major amphibious assault into Afghanistan, traveling more than 400 miles into the landlocked country. These forces became some of the first conventional U.S. troops deployed on the ground in Afghanistan. During the operation, the 26th Marine Expeditionary Unit seized Kandahar Airport, while the 15th Marine Expeditionary Unit established Camp Rhino, which became America's first forward operating base in Afghanistan. This operation set new standards for Marine Corps' amphibious doctrine and expeditionary warfare. The dedication and professionalism of the Marines during Operation Enduring Freedom continue to define the modern legacy of the Marine Corps. Operation Strike of the Sword, also known as Operation Khanjar, was a major military offensive during the war in Afghanistan. The operation took place on July 2, 2009, in the Helmand River Valley in southern Afghanistan. Approximately 4,000 United States Marines from the 2nd Marine Expeditionary Brigade, along with 650 Afghan National Army soldiers, participated in the offensive. The objective of the operation was to push Taliban forces out of key areas in Helmand province and restore security to the region. Marines and Afghan forces entered the Helmand River Valley during the early morning hours and began clearing Taliban strongholds. Operation Khanjar became the largest Marine Corps offensive since the Battle of Fallujah in 2004. It was also the largest Marine helicopter airlift since the Vietnam War, demonstrating the scale and coordination of the operation. Units involved in the offensive included 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines, 2nd Light Armored Reconnaissance Battalion, and 1st Battalion, 5th Marines. The Battle of Marja, also known as Operation Mushtarak, took place in February 2010 during the war in Afghanistan. The word Mushtarak comes from the Dari language and means together. The objective of the operation was to reclaim the city of Marja, which had become a strategic agricultural center and a safe haven for narcotics traffickers and insurgent forces in the Helmand River Valley. During the operation, United States Marines worked alongside thousands of Afghan national security forces. Together, they conducted coordinated operations to remove insurgent control and restore stability to the region. The success of Operation Mushtarak significantly improved the political and security situation in southwestern Afghanistan. On September 8, 2009, Corporal Dakota Meyer displayed extraordinary heroism during a battle in Ganjgal village in Kunar province, Afghanistan. Corporal Meyer was providing security at a patrol rally point while other members of his team moved forward into the village on foot. Suddenly, the patrol was ambushed by more than 50 enemy fighters who attacked with rocket-propelled grenades, mortars, and machine guns from fortified positions on the surrounding slopes. Despite the intense enemy fire, Corporal Meyer took the exposed gunner's position in a gun truck and repeatedly drove into the ambush zone. He made multiple trips into the battlefield, helping to evacuate wounded Marines, soldiers, and Afghan troops. Over the course of the 6-hour battle, Meyer continued risking his life to rescue fellow service members and disrupt the enemy attack. For his daring initiative, courage, and determination under fire, Corporal Dakota Meyer was awarded the Medal of Honor. Petty Officer First Class Justin A. Wilson demonstrated extraordinary heroism while serving as a Special Amphibious Reconnaissance Corpsman with the 1st Marine Special Operations Battalion during Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. On September 28, 2011, during a mounted patrol, Petty Officer Wilson volunteered to accompany an explosive ordnance disposal team to clear an improvised explosive device at an Afghan local police checkpoint. As the EOD technicians began inspecting the device, a large explosion occurred, severely injuring one of the technicians. Without hesitation, Petty Officer Wilson left the safety of his position and moved through the damaged checkpoint to locate the wounded technician. As he and other team members attempted to move the casualty, a second explosion detonated, severely wounding Petty Officer Wilson and mortally wounding the others nearby. Despite his own serious injuries, Wilson focused entirely on treating his fellow team members first. Only after confirming that the others had passed away did he allow medical personnel to treat his own wounds. For his extraordinary heroism and selfless actions under fire, Petty Officer First Class Justin A. Wilson was awarded the Navy Cross. During Operation Iraqi Freedom, United States Marine Forces played a major role in the invasion of Iraq in 2003. The I Marine Expeditionary Force, along with Task Force Tarawa from the 2nd Marine Expeditionary Brigade and the United Kingdom's 1st Armored Division, were among the first conventional ground units to enter Iraq in late March 2003. Marine aviation units from the 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing provided continuous close air support and assault support to Marine and coalition forces advancing into the country. On the ground, Marine forces conducted a rapid advance across Iraq. Marines from I Marine Expeditionary Force moved nearly 400 miles from the Kuwait border to Baghdad and Tikrit, engaging and defeating Iraqi military forces along the way. This advance ultimately eliminated the last organized resistance of Iraqi military forces during the invasion. The success of this rapid offensive demonstrated the power and effective coordination of Marine Corps ground and aviation forces in modern high-intensity combat.
The First Battle of Fallujah, also known as Operation Vigilant Resolve, took place in April 2004 during Operation Iraqi Freedom. The objective of the operation was to capture the city of Fallujah, which had become a major stronghold for insurgent forces in Iraq. On April 4, 2004, 1st Battalion, 5th Marines began the attack toward the industrial center of the city. At the same time, 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines advanced south through the northwestern urban district of Fallujah. As the Marines moved into the city, they encountered heavy resistance from insurgent fighters, which led to intense urban combat. Because of the strong resistance, additional Marine units were brought in to support the operation. By April 10, 2004, 3rd Battalion, 4th Marines, and 2nd Battalion, 2nd Marines had joined the fight as the battle continued throughout the city. The First Battle of Fallujah became one of the most intense urban battles of the Iraq War and demonstrated the challenges of modern urban warfare. The Second Battle of Fallujah took place on November 7, 2004, during Operation Iraqi Freedom. The battle involved two major operations known as Operation Al-Fajr, meaning the dawn, and Operation Phantom Fury. This offensive was launched to remove insurgent forces who had taken control of the city of Fallujah. The attack force included 9 U.S. Army and Marine battalions, 6 Iraqi battalions, and aviation support from all branches of the U.S. military, including naval aircraft operating from aircraft carriers. In total, approximately 12,000 Marines, soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Iraqi security forces participated in the assault. The success of the operation relied on close coordination between coalition forces, advanced technology, and a unified chain of command. The battle involved intense urban combat, with Marines and coalition forces clearing the city house by house and rooftop to rooftop. The operation ultimately eliminated insurgent strongholds in Fallujah and restored control of the city, helping transform the region from an insurgent base into a more stable area in Al-Anbar province. During operations in the Middle East, cultural traditions created unique challenges for coalition forces. In many Muslim societies, men are not permitted to physically search women who are not related to them. Insurgent groups began exploiting this cultural restriction by using women to smuggle weapons, money, and other contraband, and in some cases even act as suicide bombers. To address this challenge, the Marine Corps Lioness program was established. The program assigned female Marines and sailors to combat units so they could conduct searches of Iraqi women and children at checkpoints and during security operations. By doing this, the Lioness teams helped prevent insurgents from smuggling weapons, explosives, and other contraband, while also supporting Marine combat operations. Their role became an important part of maintaining security and improving mission effectiveness during operations in Iraq. Corporal Jason Dunham is remembered for his extraordinary heroism during Operation Iraqi Freedom in April 2004. While serving as a rifle squad leader with 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines, Dunham's squad was conducting a reconnaissance mission in the town of Karabila. Suddenly, they heard an ambush on their battalion commander's convoy and rushed to provide support. They stopped a column of 7 vehicles to search for weapons. An insurgent leaped out and attacked Corporal Dunham. During the struggle, the insurgent released a live hand grenade. Recognizing the danger, Dunham shouted a warning and without hesitation covered the grenade with his helmet and body, absorbing the brunt of the explosion. His selfless act shielded his fellow Marines and saved at least 2 lives. Corporal Dunham was mortally wounded and passed away 8 days later. For his conspicuous gallantry, he was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor, the first Marine to receive the award since the Vietnam War. During Operation Iraqi Freedom, hospitalman apprentice Luis E. Fonseca demonstrated extraordinary heroism while serving as a Navy Corpsman with Marine forces in Iraq. On March 23, 2003, during the assault and seizure of the Saddam Canal Bridge, an amphibious assault vehicle was struck by a rocket-propelled grenade, causing multiple Marine casualties. Without hesitation and without concern for his own safety, Fonseca moved through heavy, small arms fire, machine gun fire, and rocket-propelled grenade attacks to reach the wounded Marines. He evacuated 5 wounded Marines from the burning vehicle and immediately began providing medical treatment. Even while under intense enemy fire, Fonseca continued moving along the battlefield, directing the evacuation of casualties and treating wounded Marines along the defensive perimeter. After escorting his wounded patients to a battalion aid station and briefing medical personnel on their conditions, Fonseca returned to the front lines to continue treating additional casualties. His quick actions and determination saved the lives of several Marines during the battle. For his extraordinary heroism, hospitalman apprentice Luis E. Fonseca became the first Navy corpsman since the Vietnam War to be awarded the Navy Cross. Operation Inherent Resolve was established on October 17, 2014, by the United States Department of Defense. The operation was created in response to the growing threat posed by the terrorist organization ISIS, also known as the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. ISIS emerged after the withdrawal of United States forces from Iraq on December 15, 2011, and quickly gained control of large areas of territory in Iraq and Syria. By June 2014, the security situation had deteriorated significantly as ISIS captured major cities including Mosul and Tikrit. During Operation Inherent Resolve, United States Navy ships and assets were deployed to the Arabian Gulf, where they provided maritime security and supported coalition military operations. Naval forces conducted missions to combat ISIS, support regional allies, protect freedom of navigation, and ensure the continued flow of international commerce. Although the operation primarily involved air campaigns, a limited number of United States Marines served on the ground as advisors and forward observers, directing fire support. By July 2017, coalition forces had made significant progress against ISIS. The cities of Mosul and Tikrit were liberated, and coalition forces reclaimed large areas previously controlled by ISIS. By 2019, the territorial control of ISIS in Iraq and Syria had been almost completely eliminated.